In my estimation, I am 31 years old, and however many, well, fuck, it's May 25th, so that means April 25th, March 25th. So 31 years, 2 months, 7:15 a.m. I think I was born at about 1 o'clock in the morning, so that's 6 hours and 15 minutes, we're going to call it. This story is about my biological father, Huw Edwart Jones. I've been working on a story as the 1 year anniversary of my friend Carl Russell passed away on June 9th, 2022 is arriving. And the more I write and I narrate and I think about Carl and I think about the reflection of this last year of struggle and dealing with it, I can't help but reflect on my meaner half. I don't mean to say that Huey was mean. I mean to say that that half of my biological DNA sure knew how to bare their teeth and get to work in a way that I think has been imprinted on me and is a big reason why me and Carl originally got along so well. For the lack of a better description, I'm going to go to a piece that I wrote just a few days after Hugh died. It's my best recollection of what the process felt like and how different it was from what I've dealt with this last year. So, 12/19/2015. Roughly 15 years ago, when I was 9 or 10, and my whole family went to Shelburne Farms field days. There was a reenactment and traditional food vendors. There was also a team of Percheron horses pulling a walking plow through corn stubble. I remember the team not because the horses were a huge moment of the sound of turning soil stuck in my head. I remember that team because my father scoffed at the crooked furrow that was left by the plowman. The fellow driving the horses invited Dad to take the handles and make a few turns. I remember watching while my dad ran the plow for a short while. As he walked away, he made some comment to me about how easy plowing was when there wasn't sod. I've learned since there is a lot more to it. As usual, is how well you pay attention to the details. Adjustments are everything. I took this photo of my dad that day even though he didn't want me to. I told him, Dad, I have all these relatives who don't know what you look like. I need a picture. I'm sure he cursed something fierce underneath his voice, but accepted. He looked so stoic and strong in this photo. It truly is hard to look at it because I just don't remember much of him like that. Not much more than 2 years after this picture was taken, Dad had a major stroke. If he hadn't already been working close to the best hospital in Vermont, he would have died that day. The stroke required major brain surgery. The surgery was so major that he would never walk again. I remember those days sitting in the waiting room listening to one bad thing after another, losing hope that I would ever have a father again. Dad awoke from his coma about a week after and was moved out of intensive care. He improved. His vision was coming back, and there were small signs of the movement on the left side of his body. He got well enough that he could threaten his care folk. If you touch me, I'll break your arm. Years went on, and as they did, my family grew closer. Dad came home to live under Mom's care about 8 years ago. My mother became something I could never. She is such an amazingly strong woman. I know why my dad was in love with her. I have lived with the shadow of my father for all of my adolescence and young manhood. I have grown strong not from watching his muscles work, but from seeing how love can support a relationship even in the worst of times. I do remember a lot from my father. He took me everywhere and gave me jobs to do so that I could learn. He taught me straight lines and square rule, bird's mouths and tongue and groove. I wrapped extension cords and packed the power saws. I ran screw guns and the sawzall. I know my fractions off his tape measure, and a few arguments with Mom, I remember him cussing and laughing with his friends, projects and random ruckus. He said things like not often wrong and right again, and not often right and wrong again, or I'll believe you and thousands wouldn't. And my personal favorite, are you fucking serious? He seemed to have a way to be friends with everyone, but also shake their chains like he was scaring the devil off. Dad not only was a master carpenter, he did mechanics and electric. He hated plumbing, but he dealt with that shit when he had to. He operated as a superintendent on the renovation of the high school that I ended up going to. I remember being on the site the day that they were putting the rafters on the new gym, which I played many passionate games of basketball for the Falcons. I never had a second thought about my dad. He was amazing at what he did, and he was great with me and my sister when he was home. Once when I was getting older, I had built a bow with Dad. It was mostly a small strip of hardwood bent with a string, but it flung an arrow pretty good, and me and my sister were playing war, and I had given her the bow, and I had the sword and the shield. I told her to take a shot, and I would protect her at close combat. I remember looking into my sister's scared eyes and saw that she would not be able to take the aim on the enemy. I took up the bow and took aim. I flung an arrow right into the small of my father's back. I only remember running and turning to see my bow turn into 4 pieces in 2 swift motions over his knee. He never gave me punishment. We never spoke of the incident, but he must have understood I was young and dumb and forgave me after his bruise went away. December 16th, 2015, in the morning, I found a message from my mom. Dad was gone. A brick fell into my lap, and I sped back to my home in Berkshire. This has been a day I have been getting ready for 11 years. I have split most of my emotions already. I don't seem to find them at this time. Maybe it is circumstance. I received my second horse a day before. Her arrival is an official changing of the guard, an advancement in experience as a teamster. It could be said that I am hiding from a family tragedy behind my 2 big blonde Belgians, but I can tell you I'm not hiding from anything. My horses are very important to me, and if they are not my excuse, they are definitely where I have been pouring my emotions. My father is proud of where I am with my animals. He knows I take pride in the precision and craftsmanship I demand within my operation. And I might not be crying, but it is only because I am smiling at the world, saying, I got a good hold on you, and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. Tomorrow I'm going to honor him the same way I honored him every day for the last decade. Working hard for my life, loving laughs, and drinking beer. I'm going to grow my beard long and cuss even longer. Chase my dreams, staying loyal, and never being afraid of getting in someone's face. Are you fucking serious? Rattle, rattle, clang, clang, clang. I've got a log chain for you right here. Come and get it. For Huw Edwart Jones, my loving father, an endless inspiration to be better at what I do than I was yesterday. The reason that this day and this story and that writing means so much in this process is that the horse that was given to me was given to me by Carl. And I genuinely remember and have recollections of the process of owning that animal as one of the first places where I started to really open up to Carl and bond with him. And it was a defining moment in our friendship. And it happened right around a defining end to my relationship with my biological father. Additionally, There's stories about Idris, my father's brother. I don't have as much to say about it as I do about Huw or do about Carl, but there's a story there. And these photos you see were taken during my visit to Wales after Dad died. Um, so, in reflection, from one story to another story leads to another story that I'll get to at some point. I've mostly done these narrations in the morning or in my mid to late afternoon lunch breaks, which is where I find myself sitting now. And I certainly haven't engaged in the easiest conversations, and some of which I don't really feel like most people would find relevant to them. It's okay. I think I'm leaving these stories here on this platform so that people can hear my voice in the future and hear how I dealt with the grief of a world that's ever changing. Big change, little change, little change. Change is inherent.